Thank you for purchasing Product Cost and Profit Calculator. To access the template, click the link in your PDF document. It will redirect you to Google Sheet website. Now click Use Template button in the upper right corner. Now you can use the calculator, which consists of 4 tabs in total: Instructions, Cost Calculator, Material Calculator, and Product List. Cost Calculator is your main tab. You can zoom in or out depending on your device. I'm using 75% here. Let's start by filling out the information table. Type in your product name, SKU, and quantity. To calculate the cost and price for a single unit, leave the quantity field at 1, otherwise it will affect all the calculations. You can choose your currency from the drop-down menu on your right. You have an option to select measurement units that will affect Material Calculator. Now it's time to move to step 1, calculating your product cost. Product cost consists of material cost, packaging cost, labor cost, and overhead expenses. Start by filling out the material cost table by typing in all the materials you use to create your product, their prices and quantities. If you don't know the price per unit, I will show you how to calculate that in the material calculator later. You want to be as accurate as possible and not leave any materials behind. You can see that the total cost is only calculated when the checkbox is selected. Checkbox system enables you to play around and see how different materials affect your total cost of goods. You have to select all the boxes to calculate the total material cost. Essentially, you can just fill this table once with all your materials and then switch them on and off depending on what product you are making. It is very important to account for production losses that happen in every industry. I recommend setting this number to 5 to 10%, but you can always leave it at 0. Now move to the packaging cost table and repeat the same steps you did previously. List all your packaging materials like boxes, tissue papers, and thank you cards. This table should not include the actual shipping labor cost, only packaging materials you use to ship your products. Make sure all the boxes are checked for the total packaging cost to be calculated. You can choose to set the loss percentage to your desired number as well. Now we're moving to the labor cost. Type in the type of work, your hourly wage, and how many minutes you spend doing this type of work. You can set different rates for different types of labor. For example, making item is more expensive than packaging and shipping it. For the labor cost, think about how much you would pay someone to do this work rather than doing it yourself. Set realistic numbers not less than minimum wage in your state, and you will see total labor cost calculated. For overhead expenses, you want to account for things like electricity, rental, gas money, or taxes. It entirely depends on your business. Just remember, the more accurate you are, the more detailed your expenses are, the better calculations of profit margins you will get later in this calculator. Now you can review your numbers. You have total cost of goods sold, your COGS, and a breakdown table of what is included. The cost breakdown chart is a nice way to see what takes up the majority of your product cost. For example, here it's material cost, followed by labor cost, then packaging cost, and overhead expenses. Step 2. Calculate your wholesale price. This is important even if you don't sell wholesale yet. Here you have 2 tables. The first one calculates your base wholesale price, meaning there are no fees included. The second one calculates price for wholesale marketplaces like Faire and Abound that charge you commission fees. Let's start with the base wholesale price. You can see your cost of goods from the previous step, profit margins in percentages that you can choose from, your price and revenue, and profit amounts. Depending on your industry, profit margin from 30 to 60% is standard, with 50% being the most recommended. 50% margin means you double your cost of goods. You can see that profit and cost of goods are the same. The breakdown below shows you they're equal. That brings your wholesale price to $16.55. Price and revenue are the same in this table because we don't account for fees. Now you can play around and select different profit margins to see how that affects your profit numbers. You can also think, how much profit do you want to make from this item? For example, if you want a profit of $12, you can see that would be 60% margin. Keep in mind that only one checkbox has to be selected. You will see zeros if you click on 2 or more. Also, you have an option to adjust profit margins. Let's say you want 55% instead of 50, or let's make it even 83. Numbers will adjust automatically. Once you have your base wholesale price in place, you can calculate price for wholesale marketplaces. Majority of marketplaces take 25% fee on opening orders and 10 to 15% on recurring orders. You have your base price here. Now select 25% commission, and the table below will show you how with the same price of $16 your revenue drops and your profit drops to $4, which equals 33% profit margin. The breakdown table now has cost of goods, profit, and fees. You have an option to adjust wholesale price. If you select this checkbox, the price will automatically adjust in a way to maintain the same revenue, the same profit, and the same profit margin like your base wholesale price. Now you can play around with commission numbers and see how you need to adjust your wholesale pricing for different marketplaces. You can review your numbers in the review section, your base wholesale price and profit, your price and profit for marketplaces, and I've included recommended prices if you're new to wholesale and don't know where to start. Moving on to retail pricing, there are 3 tables in this section, one for calculating cash retail price, no fees included, the next one calculates retail price for online websites like Shopify, and the third one calculates price for Etsy. Let's begin with the base retail price. In this table you have your wholesale price, profit margins, just like previous step, revenue and profit amounts. We need to put another profit margin on top of our wholesale price. This decision is up to you, but 50% is a golden standard you should aim for. With 50% margin, your price is now $33 and your profit is $24.83. You can now see how profit relates to cost of goods. Feel free to play around with profit margins until you reach your desired numbers. Now let's move on to online sales. You have your base retail price and all the fees online platforms like Shopify charge you. You can change these numbers according to your website provider. So now you can see the total fee amount you would pay to Shopify and how with the same price your revenue drops and your profit number drops. Fees are now visible in the breakdown chart below. If you want to adjust the price, click the checkbox and your price will be automatically adjusted to maintain the initial profit. Let's change profit margin to 50% because that's what we want and move on to Etsy sales. So Etsy has transaction fee, listing fee, and payment processing fees. You can see the total fee amount here. If we keep the same price, our revenue and profit drop to these numbers, which results in 44% profit margin, and the fees now take 10% in the breakdown chart. Click the checkbox to adjust price and it will automatically show you how much you should charge on Etsy to maintain your desired profit of 50% margin. If Etsy ever change their fees to, let's say, 10%, you can simply change this number here and calculations will be adjusted automatically. Now you can review your retail pricing. This is how much you need to charge for cash payments, Shopify payments, and Etsy payments to maintain the same profit. If you want to have the same price across all your sales channels, unclick the checkboxes and you will see how profit number is affected by fees and commissions you pay. Finally, we have step 4, review your numbers and set goals. You have your cost of goods, wholesale price and profit, and retail price and profit, and the fun part, goal setting tool. Here you have an option to set yearly, monthly, or daily goals. For example, let's set a monthly goal of $2,000. Table to the right will show you the breakdown of how many units you need to sell daily in retail or wholesale to reach that goal. You can also see how many units to sell a month. Now let's check, for example, the yearly goal of $50,000. We need to sell this many units a day, a month, and a year in retail or this many in wholesale. The chart next to it visually shows you the unit numbers. And this is the end of your calculations. You have an option here to jump to the top by clicking the green button. It will take you to the beginning of your calculations. Let me mention something about quantity. You now know how to calculate cost and price for a single unit, but let's say you want to check how much do you need to invest in order to make 200 units. Type 200 and check the breakdown section. This is how much you need to spend in materials and labor in order to produce 200 units of your product. Material calculator. Use this tab to calculate the cost of a single unit, cost of materials sold by weight, liquid materials, chain, rope, or other one-dimensional materials, fabric, vinyl, or other two-dimensional materials. Let's start with the unit cost calculator. Here you would enter your material name, your supplier name, price per package, and how many units are in the package. It will automatically calculate unit price. You can always go back and change numbers. Now moving on to calculating material cost by weight. Let's say we bought a pack of flour from Amazon and we paid $15 for 1 pound, but we only used 10 ounces. Here we get the total cost of used flour. You can select different units from the drop-down menus. For example, if you're outside the United States, you would use grams and kilograms. You can always switch between units and go back to Imperial system. Calculating liquid material cost works exactly in the same manner. For instance, we bought epoxy from Amazon and we paid $10 for 1 gallon, but only used 2 cups. Here's the total cost of used epoxy. Feel free to switch to different units like fluid ounces, tablespoons, teaspoons, liters, or milliliters. Just make sure you're always selecting correct units in both tables. Moving on to the vinyl cost. Type in your vinyl name, your supplier name, width of your vinyl roll, and roll length. Then insert price per roll, followed by used width and used length. You will get the total cost for that piece of vinyl. Here you can also select different units like feet, inches, meters, or centimeters. Whatever units you select, this calculator will automatically convert between them and show you the correct cost, even if you use both Imperial and metric systems. If you're using more than one type of vinyl, select all applicable checkboxes to calculate the total cost of used vinyl. Fabric calculator works exactly in the same manner. You would enter your fabric width using units of your choice from the drop-down menu. Same for the fabric length. Then you would enter price and used amount in whatever units you want. You can use feet, inches, or metric system. You will get the total cost of that piece of fabric. Remember to click the checkbox if you're using more than one type of fabric. Total fabric cost will be calculated below. Lastly, we have chain calculator. You would use for anything one-dimensional. Enter purchased amount and select unit type. I'm using feet for this example. Then enter the price you paid for it, followed by how much did you use in inches, for instance. You would get the total cost of that piece of chain. If you used more than one, select the checkbox and total cost will be displayed below. Our material calculator is a very powerful tool that allows you to know the exact cost of every type of material out there. The last tab is your product list. Here you can store all your product pricing information. Simply copy-paste your product name, SKU, cost of goods, wholesale and retail pricing. I will show you how to save and print this template. Google Sheets is a cloud-based service, meaning your files are being automatically saved to Google Drive. If you navigate to the cloud icon, you can check the document status, all changes saved to Drive. If you click on the green sheet symbol, it will take you to the Google Drive main page. This is where all your documents are stored. To print this page, I recommend zooming out to 50%. After you've done that, click File and Print. You will see the document is displayed for printing. You want the following settings. Select Current Sheet, Letter Size or A4 paper, and Portrait Mode. Your scale should be set up to fit to width, not normal or anything else. Click Next and it will open up the Preview app on your computer. From here you can see a document. This one has 2 pages. You can also delete all the unnecessary blank pages. After you have done that, click File, Export if you want to save this file on your computer as a PDF document. Or you can click File, Print and send it to your printer. If you have any additional questions on how to use Product Cost and Profit Calculator, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm always here to help.